great to have you guys here. Thanks so much for joining me to have a discussion about the energy opportunities that exist in Africa. I've got here some of my partners from CPCS, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves, and looking forward to our chat about Africa and the energy opportunities that exist, guys.
Chris, thanks for having us. Quickly about myself, my name is Amit Modi. I'm based in Toronto, and I'm one of the co-managing directors of the Infrastructure Development Unit at CPCS.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and thanks for having us here as well. Look forward to chatting with you today. I'm the second co-managing director of the Infrastructure Development Unit of CPCS, working with Amit. My name's Rob Graham. I've been with CPCS and working in Africa for over a decade now.
That's a great point to trigger on to our next chat, guys. Can you give me some background on what CPCS has been doing in Africa, and why that's a great partnership for Stonechair Capital and that #EnergyAfrica Fund?
Yeah, I'm happy to, of course. So CPCS, Africa is probably our largest single market. Our history, we were originally a part of CP Rail, one of the two national rail lines of Canada. That's where the CP in our name originally did come from. We're no longer associated with CP. We're an independent consulting firm, but our history started with rail advisory in Africa, advising mostly public sector clients on restructuring strategy, and in some cases concessioning of rail lines. And over the last 50 plus years, our business really has expanded to all types of transportation and power work, as well as other PPPs. So we've worked in ports in Tanzania, we've worked in railway in Zambia, we've worked in power restructuring in Cape Verde. So we've touched a lot of infrastructure projects, opportunities, mostly in the PPP and transaction space. In the African continent. Of course, we work globally, but I'd say our single largest market is Africa.
Amit, can you maybe speak to what kind of presence you guys have today on the continent?
For sure, Chris. So right now in the continent of Africa, we have 6 active offices, both located in East and West Africa. We've closed nearly $10 billion worth of transactions throughout Africa, very similar to what Rob has mentioned in our core sectors of expertise. So mostly in the transportation, power, and PPP sectors. What's really interesting about CPCS is our newest unit, which is what Rob and I lead, very much focused on infrastructure development in Africa. And so our main value add is we come in at the early stage and help investors and developers take projects from greenfield right up to financial close. And this is what we've been doing and building with CPCS for the past several years. It started off with our own fund, which was seeded by CPCS employees, where we invested in 3 renewable energy projects and successfully found exits. And then on the back of that, we've been working with Infraco Africa, which is a group under the PIDGE arm, and supporting them with extending their mandate into Africa, which is very much similar to what we've been doing. So once again, taking early stage projects and infrastructure and advancing them to commercial stage.
So guys, maybe you could speak to a little bit around where do you see the energy opportunities in Africa and the relationship with Stonechair Capital moving that forward?
Well, I'm happy to start. As a matter of fact, Chris, before this role at CPCS, I head up our power advisory group. So I was really in the weeds of energy advisory and consulting and transactions with CPCS for the last few years. Of course, the opportunity is immense. The number of people without access to power in Africa is a large challenge. Most governments have a strong focus and mandate in achieving universal access to electricity. Of course, that's one of the Sustainable Development Goals. And the majority of the people without access today are located in Africa. So there is a demand. There is a really growing and really rapidly changing landscape in Africa, both for public grid-connected projects, for industrial projects, for off-grid projects, and all the technological disruption that's come from all these new amazing solar panels and batteries and new technologies that are being employed in innovative ways across the continent. So there's never been a more exciting time time, I would say, to be in energy investment in Africa than right now.
Go ahead, Amit. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can add, I just want to say, I want to couple with Rob just said there, and I think it fits very well with the hashtag Energy Africa Fund. You know, you're coming in at the later stage, supporting investee companies or businesses taking their mandates further and creating access to energy. We're very well partnered with you and Stonechair Capital in this. One, as your operational partners, which I think is the premise of this relationship, supporting you with actually deploying capital and managing the companies and ensuring that these companies that you're investing in are successful. And so by doing that, we are leveraging the CPCS platform, leveraging everything we have in country, our offices, our staff, our expertise, and ensuring that your investments into these companies are actually come to fruition. And so what we're doing at the Infrastructure Development Unit is preparing these companies for groups such as Stonechair Capital to make that investment. And so our role is to really get them ready for that investment that you're making. And I think that's where this entire partnership with CPCS and Stonechair Capital makes a lot of sense.
There's been lots of discussion and lots of activity. People fill the airwaves about, call it, the billions to trillions, right? You know, the catchphrase that's out there, as it were. Where do you guys see energy projects and your team's success with different involvement? You've worked from the small all the way up to government regulations. Where do you guys see your engagement with the continent and energy projects as being most successful?
I think what really has made us successful is bringing a combination of taking the time and the track record and history to really understand the local market, and combining that with the understanding we have of the technologies, the services, and what is done internationally in other markets. So what I've seen personally, a lot of other developers or even consultants try to apply a one rule fits all approach. And that's often where kind of things, you might hit the brakes or you might hit a speed bump when you don't fully understand how things are done locally, what the constraints may be, what the goals may be, what the local market may be and the track record may be, or how the regulatory environment works and how they make decisions. So I think what has probably set us apart and what I've found has been one of the key ingredients to our success is a really close relationship with the government, with the regulators, with the stakeholders, and getting to know and understand how things actually work, and then developing solutions with the technologies or the contracts or the models or business models, whatever it is that we know are working around the world, but applying them in a way that really catch and really work for those countries. So navigating those two components, I think, is really important. It's a bit of a balancing act, but that's one of the things I think I'm really proud of that we've been able to do in our past.
COVID has created all kinds of chaos, but it's also created all kinds of opportunity. How are you guys dealing with that these days on the continent?
If I can answer this one, I would say in terms of the business, we've been able to adapt. I think we've adapted very well, and we've kind of weathered the storm as best we can. You know, we've deployed resources from our core offices to the continent to have more of an on-ground presence. We've made better use of electronics and other types of media infrastructure to connect with our clients. We've been finding unique solutions to work with clients that don't have access to internet or other forms of communications. And so we've been able to really pivot, I'd say, the business. A lot of what we used to do used to be on the ground, providing hands-on-hand support. Now that has been changed a bit, and we've been able to provide that remotely. And so delivering capacity building solutions, providing more types of training, trying to do some more seminars, all these different solutions we've come up with due to COVID has really impacted how we conduct our business. Don't get me wrong, I love being on the ground and in the continent, but you know, there's a testament to what we've been able to do. We've been able to close a project in the midst of COVID. This project was a marquee project for our client, Infraco Africa. It's in a country that definitely deserves or needs this type of project. It's a temperature-controlled warehousing project that was under development before COVID started, and all throughout COVID, we continued to advance development. And we're lucky enough to actually achieve financial close in the midst of COVID. And that project is currently under construction. And that's just one of the examples of what we've been able to do in the midst of COVID.
That's a spectacular testament to, like you said, boots on the ground reality, right? Life doesn't stop for the rest of the world just because, we have what we have. As Canadians, we're very fortunate in that situation. To that same point, how do you think, call it your roots as CP and the Canadian marquee has helped or distracted from your guys' engagement on the continent? Is it an asset or is it a detriment?
Well, of course, it's an asset. As Canadians, we have to say it's an asset, but it really is an asset. For so many reasons. First of all, being a bilingual country has really helped us operate more effectively on the continent. The two largest languages spoken are English and French on the continent. So that has helped us operate in a lot of markets that maybe some of our competitors or other service providers may be a bit more limited in the francophone markets at least, or some in the anglophone markets. But probably more importantly is the reputation that we benefit from as Canadians, and that we kind of take as our own responsibility to also uphold. Transparency, delivering the best we possibly can, and trying to bring unique Canadian solutions, but apply them again in a way that makes sense in the context of Africa. I mean, of course, Canada is a large, expansive geography, and so is the continent in Africa. In several projects, we've seen parallels or comparisons to challenges we faced at home in Canada and challenges that partners, clients, or other institutions in Africa face. So, and it's an asset, I think, in terms of the reputation that Canadians have and that we try to convey as well, and we try to uphold as well. And in terms of our own context, geography, and otherwise, in history, there's a lot that we really benefit from. So we're really lucky to be Canadian and be working where we work.
Absolutely. Amit, I'll open the floor here to the discussion for some closing comments for yourself. What would you want the world to know that we haven't talked about CPCS and what it is that you guys bring to the table?
I think the biggest thing about CPCS is we're not just a management consulting firm. We're not just infrastructure transaction advisors. We look at it from all angles. And I think this is where Rob and my team come in handy is we've been leading investments. We understand the investment life cycle. We understand risks. We understand how to mitigate those risks. And when we're advising our clients from the consulting aspect, having this perspective is very important. It allows a client to feel like we understand it from their point of view and are considering their investment as our own. And so this is what we've been able to do quite well, working with our current clients. It's actually even helped our business in terms of expanding beyond just a management consulting firm. Mm-hmm. And so this is what I think sets us apart is we're very unique, where we're willing to take risks. We're very entrepreneurial in our minds. And we're not afraid to go to very challenging markets. We've worked in, I would say, almost all of the African countries, and we've had success almost on all of them. And we continue to delve deeper into Africa and take on more challenges. So I think that's one of the biggest things that stands out for me in terms of the company and where we set ourselves apart.
I'm proud to have you guys as partners. I'm flattered that you guys want to continue to move forward with a made in Canada solution in Africa. I think it's something that we all should take great pride in partnering with our African colleagues moving forward. So guys, thanks for the time. I appreciate this chat, and looking forward to our next discussion.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Good to chat.
So guys, I got one last question for you that I think is really important. And it's why is in Africa. And so guys, I got one more question for you. And it's about why Africa? You've got 6 different offices across the continent, and you must see a myriad of opportunities. Would you guys speak to some of these situations and ideas for us, please?
Sure. Of course. I mean, Africa, I think, for probably all of us on this call, it is, we probably have our own reasons why we've fallen in love with the continent and what the continent is, the culture, the people, the food, the geography. So we all have our personal reasons, I think, why we love the continent. But why in terms of a business there, or from the commercial side, there's nowhere that has more growth potential in the world than Africa today. The development need and the impact we can have by far is the highest. So the infrastructure gap and the amount of investment that is needed is so large, and the impact that investment can have is so large. When you're talking about countries that have an electrification rate of 25%, your investment in an off-grid project is really changing lives. So there is the commercial potential of Africa probably above and beyond almost any other continent in the coming decades, and the market potential there, and the innovation and entrepreneurial potential of the continent. But there's also the amount of impact that infrastructure has in Africa, I think, is above and beyond, more mature markets or Canadian markets. So it's personally, super satisfying to be any part of that. I don't know, Amit, if you have anything else you'd like to share.
I think you've said it mostly there, Rob. It is the growth potential. I think as a business, we've been in Africa for the last 50 years. We've seen it go through, many transformations. We've seen transactions and how investments have been made change a lot. And it's almost like a new frontier with technology improving, markets being much more accessible. The opportunity is growing. And I think it's at a point where there's going to be a lot of new opportunity coming in Africa. And we've been at the forefront of it. We've been putting the time and getting the experience we want to get here. And now we're seeing a huge need. The infrastructure gap is continuously growing larger, and the investments that are being deployed are not always getting to a point where the projects are getting done. So we've recognized that as a gap. There's a lot of capital, there's a lot of willingness. However, there's somewhat of an inability or potential to take the early stage risk. And I think this is where we come in and can really help bridge that gap. And we see that as a true opportunity for CPCS and our team to really help promote infrastructure development and growth in Africa.
And this is why our partnership continues to flourish. There is no doubt that we all understand and see the opportunity, and we're willing to roll our sleeves up and get dirty and dig in, right? Absolutely.
Definitely.
Guys, thanks for the time. I greatly appreciate it. Talk again soon.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.